Wide Web. The fashion gurus arise. Brian Rill and Dustin Tedwell, they got zero lies. Salida Style Podcast, they run the show. Interviewing supermodels, fashion like whoa. With their sharp minds and their fashionable flair, Brian and Dustin, they got the audacity to dare. They rule the internet with style so loud. Salida Style, they make it proud. Salida Style, ruin the web with class. Brian, Dustin, and James, moving so fast. Interviewing supermodels, they're on the go. Salida Style Podcast, the fashion flow. The fashion flow. Salida Style Podcast, they run the show.
Here we are in Salida, Colorado,
Salida Style
talking about
Podcast.
Salida Style. On today's podcast, we have Antonieta Hensley from Facebook.
And that's Brian, and I'm Dustin.
Antonieta, she is a indigenous Latina, and she is a former yoga teacher and a model and a hospice caregiver, among other things. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is. Thought it was supposed to be cold this week, but this feels just about right. Is it 50?
Yeah, nice and sunny today. December 10th, around there.
10th, 11th.
Although when this comes out, it's going to be later, buddy.
It might not be yesterday, that's for sure.
Well, today is going to be yesterday when this comes out.
It'll be yesterday. You're going to get it out in one day.
Hell no. I already got one with some other model that I haven't messed with yet. Then I got Aspen Brittany Murphy on the next one this Wednesday. She's a supermodel from Canyon City.
I like the editing you do on some of them. Some of them I just listen to.
Yeah, you could do either way. You listen or you watch. Sometimes there's cartoons.
Yeah, and some pretty amazing advertisers.
We ran out of advertisers.
What about the Godzilla killer?
Yeah, that's still available.
Well, we could put that commercial in there on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Because that one's hilarious.
Now a word from our sponsors. The Godzilla detector. And we're back.
So when does our guest come on?
Any minute now.
Well, Brian, this is like the nicest day of December so far. And she's on.
Pretty good December.
Gotta unmute her or something? Hello.
She's coming on board. Hello. Are you muted?
Can't hear you.
Well, there she goes.
I can hear a little bit of you now.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's really good now.
Okay, perfect. Let me try to adjust my video or it can hold in place. One moment, please.
Okay. You look amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That was cool.
Huh? I got such a glare on my camera, I can't. Yeah, I can now.
Need an umbrella.
Need an umbrella.
Oh, yeah. Flores.
Yes, my intentions are set. I have my flowers and my water, and that's all the things I love. My drum.
Show us your drum.
Let me see here. But it's being used as my water to help hold my water. So it's multi-use today.
Antonieta,
Yes,
you're beautiful.
thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Brian. And before you got on, told me some of your history and credentials, kind of what you do, but he didn't know either.
So I do so many things. I am one of many hats. Let me break down the different type of personalities I operate from that executes and shares my work as a whole. So I am Antonieta Paco, and I have a platform that's Priestess AP. And what that is all my holistic and all my energy work and all my activism and everything I do for the community and the land. And that goes along with all the experiences I have as a certified yoga teacher and hypnotherapist. I'm a certified life coach, which now I branded as a somatic intimacy coach.
Which
And
is what? What is that?
what that is somatics meaning body movement and intimacy meaning relationships, love, intimacy with self, so self-love, right? Everything coming back to sex education and how to become more intimate with yourself and others. So that's what that is, coaching for people who seek that. And a lot of tantra and sex education goes in that work specifically. And I just do a lot of energy work and a lot of activism in that platform. And then I have a separate platform that's Sonia Sass. And Sonia Sass is an entertainer, and she is an activism for sex work and has done so many different types of work in the industry.
Such as burlesque dancing.
Correct. Yes. I'm a burlesque dancer now for 3 years, and I've been an exotic dancer for 8 years.
Amazing.
Yes.
And you're a model.
Yes. I am a professional model now for 10 years. And a lot of that also goes back to my Sonia Sass platform and a lot of my somatic intimacy coaching, because I like to teach a lot of self-love by using no filters or edits or anything like that. So if I have acne in my photo or dimples or anything like that, I leave them on. My whole platform is very raw and very real. And that's what I like to share and teach others to be.
You have some amazing work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The filters and the airbrushing and that goes into so much of what we see is kind of irritating, because I like the real people. We don't see, and I think it also causes people to set expectations that are not realistic. But it's like, oh, look at this 40-year-old lady who's all brushed up. She looks like she's 25. Well, she didn't in the photos.
Yeah, especially when it comes to that kind of work you're doing with burlesque and modeling and you know, what do you call it?
Somatic.
Somatic intimacy.
Yes, somatic intimacy.
You represent the real woman, and you teach people how to appreciate that.
Exactly. I like to, along with what you both were saying, I like to let people know that life isn't a filter and it's best to be your authentic self in whatever way that looks like. All bodies deserve intimacy and have the right to pleasure. And we are all beautiful in our own ways, past the visual and the outer book shell. So
Right.
it's important to dig deeper into that work and to not be so superficial.
Yeah, I need some sex education.
Right.
What
Brian's
would you
not
like to
superficial.
know?
That's for sure.
What is it? How do you do it? I'm a born again virgin.
You are. It's been a couple.
So I like to take the approach of first normalizing sex as a whole. Just like Finland, they start teaching sex education in a respected age at the age of 5 and 6 for kindergarten. And I think that's very, very important for us Americans and other countries to look at. I think sex education should be talked about more. That way, people don't grow up with so much sexual trauma and sexual issues and sexual awkwardness, right? When it's time to actually be intimate with yourself and others.
So at 5, 6, Finland will teach people about how to keep their body sacred, not let anybody else touch them in inappropriate ways. What you have is special, and you should never let anybody fool around with that, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I love about it. So they do teach age appropriate. And at those ages, they are teaching consent. They are teaching what intimacy looks like. And I think that's a beautiful way to start. And also to then from there normalize what happens in the following stages when we go of puberty, normalizing menstruation more, having more opportunities and options for women to have menstruation products and for it and not feel disgusting and something that shouldn't be talked about. And same with the boys. The boys are growing, you know, they're going through their changes and their tones are changing and their faces are developing. They want more answers to what's going on. They have questions on ejaculation that unfortunately abstinent class isn't teaching.
Yeah, I don't remember getting a whole lot of sex education in the 90s when I grew up, 80s and 90s, other than like that one 5th grade class where they told you how to put a condom on a banana and gave you some weird kind of cartoonish diagrams of what sex was, and then the rest was locker room education. And
well, yeah, luckily they gave us,
magazine.
luckily they taught us about how to use condoms. I mean, that saved a lot of people because you got to learn how to do that. It's like that's in that era especially. Safe sex was like abundant.
Yeah, like the HIV and AIDS at the time being such a deal. And I mean, we don't really keep a lot of pace of what the sex STDs are like as much as we were in the 80s and 90s. But it's just as rampant, and being safe about your pleasure is a wise idea. And it should be taught and not like an accidental scare when you're in the back seat when you're 17 with your high school sweetheart. That's
yeah, family planning. I mean, you really have to know how to be responsible and make these choices. Like I've never had children because of this idea that you don't have to have children. You don't have to go out and you can experience love and intimacy without that.
You would make a good daddy, B.
Yeah.
Saying.
Well, one day when I'm ready, I'll do that.
Right.
So Antonieta, change the subject. Do you believe in dinosaurs?
I do believe in dinosaurs.
Do you think they look like Jurassic Park or more like
I think they had feathers.
yeah, more like a farm animal?
I do believe that a little bit of both. I think they came in a lot of different types of textures and skins. I believe some were water, some were of the land. That definitely some. They said they were the ancestors of birds, so some had to have been furry.
Mhm. So when you were a kid, what was your favorite dinosaur? Do you remember?
Pterodactyl.
I think I would say most boys' favorite was the T-Rex. Was yours the T-Rex?
Mine was Brontosaurus because it was just majestic, massive
Yeah,
beast.
right.
Yeah, huge. Like I can't even imagine a giant chicken, let alone a giant whatever that is.
So when you were young, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Nogales, Arizona, which is a border town in between Arizona and Mexico. I was born in Phoenix, so I am a U.S. citizen. But my family went back to the border after I was 5, and I started my whole school journey in Nogales. So the way I've grown up has been very much of two borders all my life.
Right, right.
And it's really hard to separate the two.
Right.
I see them all as one. And I have a lot of, I would say, compassion because of that experience for people as a whole. I think that's what led me to be an activist today and be about human rights activism.
Yeah.
I could see that, right? Especially with everything going on in the world in general, but the border being a pretty focal point of a lot of conversation, and then just the division between our worlds all over the place. There needs to be more people who are fighting for human rights. It seems as if the cause of the 60s has fallen upon the greed of corporations, or been diminished by consumerism and being the dream, living the dream, getting the college degree and the big job, as opposed to like taking care of our fellows. So good on you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, unfortunately, I could even recall when I was a nana, a small little girl, seeing people being beaten as soon as they would cross the border, seeing people beaten to death, beaten to the hospital, just because they were brown skin and they wanted to come on this side. So I've seen all that, unfortunately, just hanging out in my porch. And it's unfortunate to see such violence at a young age because of the race, because of separate borders. And those are things I just cannot agree with.
Yeah, right. We should all be able to feel safe no matter what side of the street we're on.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't really understand humanity's desire for war. Why are we always battling something? Is it inherent in us? Sorry, off topic, but
I think it is. I think a lot of, especially the original villages, were men did go into war to fight for their territory. And I feel like that is a forever battle over land and money. And unfortunately, even though there's people like you and I and him who aren't all revolved around money, there are people who will always have that as their firsthand importance.
their main driver.
Goal, just having more money and more land and more power. So those people I feel will always exist. I think it's what you do with what you have and the resources given to you and the people you call your people that matters.
I grew up in Tucson, so I spent some time in Nogales over the border. And kind of outside of Tucson near 3 Points. And I used to run around in the desert, and there'd be these old Spanish palaces. And it really reminds you that this used to be Spanish land back in the day.
Absolutely. I mean, I love history myself. And if we go into the history, Texas, Arizona, California was once Mexico. And even if we want to go even deeper, Exactly. And if we want to go even deeper, it's of the original indigenous people, of the Apache, of the Hopi, of the Ute. You know, there's so much indigenous people that were the first, not even settlers, but originals of the land. And just having the respect of that whenever we cross those borders and those paths and those streets and those deserts is so important.
Yeah, those natural borders that used to be respected, given life, given respect, and crossed with dignity.
Yes, I love the Southwest. The desert has very powerful energy,
Mhm.
and I just love being from there. I don't live there right now, but I love the energy there, and you'll definitely find magic if you go.
Yeah, if you're looking for it.
Where do you live now?
I live in Pennsylvania, so I'm a bit of a traveler. I've lived in 6 states and 2 countries, the other one being Mexico. And now I live in Pennsylvania, and I'm just so grateful for this experience. All the times me moving was by choice, and I do own an RV, and before that, I did a lot of budget flying, and I've enjoyed my life. So I'm grateful for that.
I love your outlook on life. You got a great attitude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What part of Pennsylvania are you in?
I live in a little farm town. I love little rural towns. They
Yeah,
just
right.
have my heart. They make my heart sing. And I live in Hatfield. The population is less than 3,000. And it's about 40 minutes from Philadelphia, 2 hours from Atlantic City, and like 1 hour from New York.
Well, it's kind of like Salida. We've got 5,000 people here.
Oh,
we're-
okay.
A couple hours from Denver, and you know, it's nice to be a couple hours from Denver. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd want to be 15 minutes from Denver. A couple hours is right.
Yeah. You need at least a couple hours for the zombies to get here.
Keep them back. What were your other questions, Brian?
Have y'all ever seen Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator?
No.
I don't know what that is.
There's this guy on
Enlighten
YouTube,
me.
and he has this battle simulator, and he puts like 1 million zombies against 10,000 Spartans, and then you can. It's amazing. It's crazy,
Like a video game sort of thing where you could set it up and say, I want.
right?
Well,
And then he did like Roman soldiers, 1 million Roman soldiers against 100 army men with tanks.
and then you just watch them battle it out.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
I think my 6-year-old watches that stuff, Brian. You might-
Yeah, it's like who would win against Superman and Batman? Nobody knows.
Nobody does.
We've been talking about this since I was a kid.
So, yeah, and no one answered it yet. Did they come out with a movie yet?
No,
What's that?
or
guy?
maybe they did. Superman and Batman. I think they did.
I mean, there's Alien versus
And I
Predator.
think Superman died,
Oh, maybe right.
but I don't.
So I don't watch TV at all anymore. I don't watch the news. Barely keep up with everything like that. You seem to have a frame of mind where you're not directed by the outside world. Would that be fair to say?
Yes and no. I think it's important for me to stay updated on everything that's going on in my world, for then I could come back within, go into my solitude, my hermit crab, my introverted self, and really just take that all in through journaling and meditation and so forth. But I actually do spend a lot of time research finding. It's one of my hobbies. I love to research a lot, and I love to follow a lot of journalism around the world. That's the activism in me. And by doing so, I just like to stay updated with what is going on. I make sure and not take in too much because, of course, anything in overload is not good for the psyche. And then I get too sad and all these feelings come up, right? The natural empath in me. So I take it in doses, but I think it's important to stay up on everything. And I like to make appearances online to know what all my friends are doing because they're all amazing business owners and healers and curanderas and tantra practitioners. So I like to show them love. But outside from that, this is true. I'm very introverted and I like to stay to myself a lot.
I guess that's what I was saying.
Yes.
With Brian and I, we're not the most extroverted types. It's sort of like comes in doses, and it's typically a bit obnoxious when we do go out into the world and act with our friends or into the world. But for the most part, I spend, and I'm sure Brian spends a lot of time in our studios. He's a musician. I paint, and try to avoid sucking up. I try to avoid sucking up all the moment-to-moment news as opposed to more of the world shit. Because I did that for a while. I did it. It made me, like you said earlier, it made me sick. Too much of that. It was almost like addictive panic and fear. And I think that if all of us can take a 10% break on that sort of activity, we would be a lot nicer to each other. That's for sure.
Yeah,
maybe.
That made me think of my journey with all of that as a whole. So I'm 34 now, but when in my early 20s, I kind of would put myself, because I was first getting into my yoga teacher training and being very woo-woo and that typical hippie, that everybody makes fun of online, right? Very new agey, all the things. And at that time in my journey, I was more disassociative to negativity because I felt like keeping myself in a light and love bubble was somehow gonna heal me and keep me safe. But sooner than later, I found out that was like my weakness. And that was the thing holding me back from being my authentic self and doing the true, this is going to sound woo-woo, but shadow work
Well,
necessary to accept all of me, right? So I had to learn to pop that bubble that everything's perfect and only good vibes and don't be sadder or mad around me because I don't know how to take your feeling because it makes me uncomfortable about myself, right? Like all of that. And I just had to pop that bubble and really be in a space where no, I can be around what's real. I could be real with myself. I could explain my feelings and share my boundaries and have requests. And how people take it, they take it. And if they don't take it, then I separate myself from that space. It's very simple now to navigate and know how to respond to all my 27 emotions a human body has, right? And I've done the work and the research and learn about myself, a lot of cognitive therapy, and a lot of learning emotional intelligence and nonviolent communication and just doing a lot of work that I never learned to do in my woo-woo classes. So I had to get out of that and really do some real mental and whole body spiritual work that I wasn't ready for back then. But now I love that work and I love talking about that stuff that we don't want to talk about. And that's just where my heart is.
As we were talking about the children with, having a proper educational understanding of sex and intimacy, I think that's also another thing that I know I wasn't taught about how to, I grew up in Wyoming where John Wayne was king sort of stuff and men didn't really cry, and so a lot of those things that even when I flipped over to being like, protect my energy and, and don't get, it would postpone the healing that I didn't really learn in the first place. And I'm 46, I guess, and I probably didn't really start an effective healing process until I was 38, 39. So, and I think that's a lot of my particular age group, actually until maybe your age group, but especially with men, we didn't learn how to address our feelings. And I think a lot of that kind of woo-woo love and light stuff is also important, that really the power of love is so effective, but also like it's pretty damn important to heal from the times you weren't getting love.
I love that. Everything you said is so perfectly said. And I agree, it's good to be positive. It's good to be a natural light in your world, but it's also good to feel your feelings. It's good to admit where you might need more work in your life and really visualize where you want to be and how can you make that your discipline habits daily, right? Like no more, oh, I'm going to idolize this person online or idolize this author or idolize this seminar I went to. I'm going to be that person. And this is how I take the steps to do that. Every day I'm disciplined. Every day I wake up before sunrise. Every day I do my yoga. Every day I drink my teas. Every day I journal. I do the things that I've always wanted to be when I was a little girl. So it takes work to be there. And it's not for everybody right away. Can everybody do it? Yes. But it's definitely getting out of your mind and not letting a meme kind of target your next goal. It's like showing up for the work, right? And not talking about it.
I love the way you burst the toxic positivity bubble. Because that's so much like what I find with a lot of people.
They feel phony sometimes. I mean, when somebody is so like everything is all right and everything is all right, and it's cool for a little while to be around them, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, shit, man. Sometimes fucking things are not all right, and why do you always say that? And sometimes and you're an empath. Brian's an empath. I could feel when somebody's lying to me, and I could feel when they have pain, but faking that pain, and it used to feel like it was phony of them, but now I feel kind of sad for like, man, you gotta let that shit out. Like I love seeing a man cry if he hadn't cried for 10 years. It's like, you deserve that.
I agree. And it's so beautiful when someone cries, because when someone cries, the research, the teachings, the yoga, nayamas, everything would tell you back that it's releasing tension. You're healing yourself when you cry. And the release of tension releases other cellular trauma stored in the body. So when you cry, when you breathe, you're releasing tension. And that's a great thing. So we could even bring it just back to science and the Eastern philosophies of what we know. Right. We should cry more. Yeah. We should breathe more.
Right. Exactly. It shouldn't be something that I feel it's changing right now, but you know, where boys were told to not cry, that I think we see a lot of men who are, you know, I see a lot of men who, you know, they're not able to express their emotions in their 40s and 50s. And it's like, man, you've been circling this world for a bit and you can't express your emotions. But then I knew when I couldn't, you know, as much of an emotional basket case as I am, I didn't know how to healthily explain what's going on in my head because I didn't know. Like when you said there's 27 emotions, I'm thinking to myself, I could name like 8.
I know. It's so interesting to think of.
What
and
are
it
the
doesn't matter
27?
where you are in your journey. I think it's beautiful that now you can express crying and look at it as a form of healing and a form of releasing tension. And that's positive. All the 27 emotions I don't know, but I do know that there's 27.
Oh, wow.
It's like the bones.
What do I got? You got what? It's happiness, sadness, contempt,
anger, fear, resentment, guilt, mourning, lustfulness, passion, all the different kinds of love. And, you know, love, but those are different emotions. I feel that like I love you versus I love my wife. We just generalize that.
Platonic love, intimate love, eros love, platonic.
There might be more than 27. Sometimes I get them all at once. Or within a day. It's kind of like a Colorado day. Sometimes you get winter, sometimes you get summer, spring and fall all within about 12 hours. I think we have a day like that going on.
What I love learning is what my body holds, even the amount of emotions. I love learning about the littlest details that people don't think about, your cells, your atoms, your energy, right? I love learning about things that are underlying roots of us. And I think by going back to that, you just learn so much about yourself as a whole and can uncover so much.
You were saying that you were indigenous, but I may have missed, or like you came from, I guess, Hispanic and indigenous is what I think I heard you say. What tribe did you come from? Heritage do you come from?
So my family is, we're Latino and we're indigenous. I am Maya of the Mayan people. And I am also Mexican, so Mexicana. My both parents were immigrants from Mexico. And I have ancestry that is from South America and Chile and places of that.
Oh man, you have so much cool family heritage.
Oh yeah, everyone loves my family. They are the coolest. They cook up. They will offer you everything you love, and they party. So yeah, I have a cool family.
Wow. Let's go hang out with them.
They would love that. They would cook for you immediately and probably offer you their bed.
Do they still live down there?
Yes, they still live in Nogales, and the rest of my family is in Mexico.
Do you get to go visit them much?
I do. They usually like to make trips to visit me in the new states I live at. That
Well,
way they
I
can get a
understand that,
vacation, right? But I go too. I was just there like a month or two ago. I went to the dentista. And I do have a side business with my family. We are international dental tour guides. So you could stay with us and we'll take you to a dentist.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Yes.
Ooh,
How did
that's
you
the reason
look?
to go down there. My daughter has to get braces here soon. And they're
Ooh.
expensive in America. They're expensive. They're really expensive. I was blown away. You could buy a nice, pretty little ride with that.
I live in Pennsylvania and still with my round trip and hanging out there for 4 days. It was cheaper than going to my dentist here, fix my root canal. So I'm grateful I went, had a Mexican vacation with my
And
family.
saw the dentist. Wow.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Pennsylvania?
So a lot of the ways I end up in places sound a little woo-woo, but I meditate them and I go to these beautiful places. So in Oregon, I was at this very beautiful volcano location. And when I went to this lake, I meditated there. And I was given these energies that it was time for me to move again. And I wanted to go to the East Coast this time because I wanted to make a East Coast family and connections out there that I know would support my next projects. So I already knew a person who lived out here. So I decided to get my RV and move out here.
Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to live that sort of way of following your instinct, following the creator into wherever the universe wants to take us. I think that's
prior to that, I ended up in Oregon because I went to Yosemite. I went on a deep mushroom ceremony and I had to move after to Oregon. It was just, that's what was said. And I'm so grateful I did because so much great things happened there. I got my RV. I picked up a business there with my friends. So we had so much good rapport that I'm grateful I made that move.
Were
So
you
yes,
around?
I heard the call. In short, I heard the call.
Were you around Mount Shasta?
Mount Shasta, yes, I drove through there. I love it there. I've camped through there. It's beautiful energy.
I'm
It's
from
also
Klamath.
the chakra. Did you know that? It's the chakra on the earth. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in Klamath Falls. I would look at Mount Shasta every day.
Mount
you're
Shasta
so
is an
right.
earth. Mount Shasta is an earth chakra.
Yes. There's chakras on the land as well as
Sure.
human beings, and the root one is located in California there. So that is just so beautiful to think about, and we're so blessed.
Are there ones in South America? Like in
There's one over by Peru or Brazil, I believe, which is interesting on me because my retirement goals is to live in Peru. as an old lady, self-sufficient, just in my eco village. That's my goal. That's what I'm doing everything for.
Nice. Well, I'm sure
Yeah.
if you said it now, that it will be happening sooner than you expect. I don't think you'll have to be an old lady to live in your dreamland.
You know what it is? I think I do because I have so much work left here. And they won't need me until I'm older.
I like the way you speak and think.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. You're my favorite guest so far.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. You guys are fun. And yes, bring down to the border. We'll eat. We'll fix your daughter's teeth and we'll go dancing.
That would be fun. My wife's family comes from, well, her dad comes from Chihuahua, but I don't know where. I think it's Chihuahua State. I may be wrong on that.
Chihuahua?
And then her mom comes from this very, very southern tip of Texas, right on whatever town that is, Brownsville, I guess, area. So we have a desire to go see that part of the world. She grew up in Wyoming with me, but I think going south would be fun.
Yes. So I will give a little bit of a tip. The border is so much fun, but it's also very hood and very rusty. So as long as you're okay with that and stay with your guides, you're good. You're safe with me, of course. You go in Nogales, we're good. They love us.
I used to go down to Nogales and buy whips and like at the Mexican store.
Yes, yes. We call them the curios, like the vendors, the street vendors. Yes.
What's the word again?
Curios.
Okay.
It's like saying the back alley vendors in Spanish. That's what it's saying. And yes, if you're good at negotiating, you can get so much cool things.
Yeah, it's like a street fair all day, all year long.
That sounds
fun.
Yeah. I would buy these whips and I would be like Indiana Jones, buddy. I buy these hats. I miss it sometimes.
I love the marble chess. They have the chess pieces. I'm sure you've seen them. I love that. We love chess a lot. So the marble chess is a classic item to buy over there.
I'm fairly certain I bought a marble chess play or set in Mexico City, or actually out near the pyramids of the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
The vendors out there were the best.
I got to see Chichen Itza and that pyramid and then the cenotes. Amazing stuff.
So beautiful. So sacred. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're part of that culture.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure there's beauty in all cultures, but I will take the compliment.
Are there people of like mind in the small town you live in?
Absolutely.
Healing nature?
Yes, absolutely. Especially my family. So growing up, my family was they're indigenous. Nature came out a lot of rituals, smoking, limpias. A lot of curandismo would come out in our family, and we would celebrate certain days that were important to us. And they were kind of eclectic. They had a little bit of parts of them that were Buddhist as well. And just a very humble and peaceful, high chanting family I came from.
And what about in the town in Pennsylvania?
So right now I stay with my partner and my daughter. And I kind of am very introverted here. So right now, all my connections are more in the tri-state area. So New Jersey, DC. I do visit those places a lot. I will be doing a tarot reading this week on Friday, December 15th. And that's going to be in New Jersey. So I do have my contacts. They just spread out, not really in this little town.
What are do you have some online, like YouTube channel, media, or things that you put out to people to direct them your way, or to give them, wisdom that you've gained? Do you have that sort of conduit?
Absolutely. So I do have my platforms. I eventually gave in to the internet
We all
because
have
for
to, it
so
seems.
long I was of the land and like, no, I'm not going to waste hours online, right? So I was very resistant. I was, and I got on a little late, but I finally am on here. And I do have a TikTok. I do have my Instagram. I do have a YouTube. I do have a website as well, which I changed the name recently to make it easier for people to find me. And yeah, depending on whether it's the Priestess AP or Sonia Sass, I'm available on all platforms right now at Priestess AP. And then the other one is just underscore Sonia Sass.
Okay, well, maybe Brian, when he does his magic with, because I am fucking computer illiterate, but when he does his educational stuff, maybe he could add in your.
Yeah. That'll be great. Thank you. Yes, I'll be changing my website. It was priestessa.com, but I think I'm just going to change it apofferings.com because I have so much going on and my initials are just enough right now. And I know no one can spell my first name. So I run through that issue a lot, guys.
Yeah, I would have thought there would be 2 T's in it. I didn't even look at the spelling of it.
Yeah, no, that's not how you spell it.
Okay.
A nice try.
Don't spell very well, anyhow. I can spell my name.
Oh, that's
Check this out.
beautiful. Oh, wow. Is that a turtle?
Yep.
I
Oh,
love
okay.
that so much. Is that for me?
The turtle hermit.
That is so me. And I am of the turtle clan, guys. Isn't that weird?
That's
Turtle
all right.
follows me. It's my favorite animal. That's so weird.
Yeah,
See,
you just
that's
said
not
how
a
you're
coincidence.
hermiting up
That's
there.
not woo-woo, not a coincidence.
No.
Yep. Will you give us a tarot reading?
What was that?
Will you give us a tarot reading?
Sure. When do you want one? Now?
Yeah.
Okay, I could do one card for both of you.
Okay.
He has a deck of cards in front of him. If you'd like him to pull them.
Okay, here's the first card. This is the 9 of Pentacles.
Is that for you or for me?
I think it's for Brian.
I think it's for you.
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
That makes sense because 9 is my favorite number. That is so odd right now. How on point you are. Your touch on that deck is doing some magic.
Okay. And then we got,
Who's this card for?
this is my card, the Father of Wands. The Father of Wands. This is Dustin's card, the Daughter of Wands. Wow.
Mm. Wow.
I don't know what those mean.
That's like
So,
energetic communication, fiery. You're a Leo, so it's fiery communication, creativity. What do you think, Antonieta?
I think you're an amazing parent. That's what I'm getting from the card. But it also shows signs that maybe you're not taking care of yourself enough in being the best parent and the best guardian that you can be. So even just putting away 5 or 25 minutes a day to do whatever you want for yourself, whether that's music or, have a treat or a beverage you really enjoy that's healthy for you and things of that nature is very important. Also, I think there's been issues with your sleeping patterns. So really addressing that is important because having good sleep means you're going to have a good rest of the day. All your circadian rhythms of the day are going to be in check with your good sleep. So if your sleep's off, everything's off, my man. You got to address that
I
stuff.
totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, one more in detail to give some detail to it. The 4 of Swords reversed. Check that out.
And is that for him or for you, Brian?
That's for both of us.
Okay. So what I'm getting is right now you have a good partnership. There does need to become more organization in whatever projects you guys have going on for the future. There's some lack of communication and the cleanness of the organization that needs to be executed. If you both fix that, you both will have a lot of amazing things unravel for both of you. And I know that's what you guys are really working towards. So fix that, how you guys communicate, and scheduling in more check-ins, and everything else will just balance out the way it's supposed to for y'all.
We got to clean up too. We got to clean.
Yeah, shave.
Yeah. I took a shower this morning and
That makes sense. For the past 7 or 8 years, Brian and I.
You missed the spot.
For the last 7 or 8 years, Brian and I have been playing music, art gatherings, and during COVID, it was really important because the town all shut down. We were the only kind of live music around because we're on the second. My studio's on the second story. So we just opened up the windows and people gather, doing their masked up shit and all that. And I feel is an important part of this town not having some worse issues.
yeah.
Our communication skills with each other. He's planned out for the most part. He's a college student, and I'm nothing like that when it comes to planning. It's happening now or not, or whenever. So that's a perfect reading. Thank you.
Yeah, but I've been in college for like the last few months and I haven't talked to anybody. And especially on finals week, I was just like out of commission. But now I'm ready to hang out and have a winter break.
Yeah, I haven't seen you very much in the past couple months.
Yeah, I've been like just working on school.
We see each other about once a week or every couple of weeks during a podcast.
Okay, that's positive. So
Yeah.
maybe whenever you can make a little more time, even if it's just video time, right? Because that's time.
Yep.
Mhm.
We hung out yesterday because we thought we were going to do a podcast with you.
Oh,
fun.
yes. I'm sorry about that. If you
Okay.
took time out your schedule for
No,
me.
I'm saying it was like you helped us inadvertently to hang out.
Yeah,
Oh,
it had been a couple
yay.
weeks.
Yay.
And the weather is even more beautiful today. It was
It's even
kinda
better
windy
today.
yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday was not cool. So today is perfect.
It's important to have brotherhood. It's important to have a community of people who are healthy that support you and love you. It's important. And you make time for that. So, yes. Show up.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you.
I told Dustin I had a good feeling about you. You're on a different level than most people. And so we really appreciate your company. And this podcast has been a really special day. And I think just doing it in general has been pretty cool. So I'm glad that you're a part of it.
Yeah, thanks for spending some time with us.
Deep bows. Thank you so much. Both of you guys are so sweet. I love musicians. I hope everything works out with your music and your goal setting and your performances. And many blessings to both of you and your families and the people you love.
Thank you. Thank you. Back at you.
Mhm.
Will you leave us with one word of advice for all of Salida?
Okay. It's important to breathe more. It's important to be more. How do you be more? By breathing more.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
That's simple, sweet. I love it. One more question.
Sure.
Have you ever heard my music?
I
Will
have not heard your music.
Will you listen to the song I posted on Facebook?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's a song.
I got you.
Send her your YouTube channel as well because we've made some funny shit on that. The sitting on the bag of weed was funny.
Yeah,
Well,
send me
very-
that one.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that'll be our intro music for this podcast.
Or your Snoop Dogg rap your resume. That's you should hear this one. Snoop. We had Snoop Dogg rap his resume, and it was the most random resume ever. That's funny.
That's hilarious, y'all. Well, it's been good. Is there anything else? Is this the end?
We don't want it to be the end. We want to.
You're so sweet.
I gotta wind up.
We want to stay with you forever.
You're so sweet.
You'll always be within our hearts. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. It's good to hear. It's good to hear your story and what you're doing. We'll have to stay up to see your journey grow.
Yes, I have so much projects coming up. Have me back, all right?
Yeah,
Oh,
go
we
give us
would
a call
love it.
anytime.
Thank you.
Okay. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, good to meet you.
In a world wide web, the fashion gurus arise. Ryan, Rill, and Dustin Tedwell, they got zero lies. Salida Style Podcast, they run the show. Interviewing supermodels, fashion like whoa. With their sharp minds and their fashionable flair, Ryan and Dustin, they got the audacity to dare. They rule the internet with style so loud. Salida Style, they make it loud. Salida Style, ruling the web with class. Ryan, Dustin, and James, moving so fast. Interviewing super